have you ever, stared at a pile of dishes? Or maybe a desk just covered in papers, or that corner of the room you keep meaning to sort out. And you get that feeling, right? Maybe dread, maybe just a little sigh. It's pretty universal, isn't it? Facing a space that's just not quite together. Today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that, our, let's say, complicated relationship with mess and tidiness. We want to go a bit deeper than just clean or dirty. We're looking at the psychology behind it, the personal ways people cope, and maybe even finding some actual joy in chores. Yeah, really. So our mission here is to unpack what mess really means to us, how different people handle it, and what clever, sometimes kind of brilliant ways they manage it all. And we're grounding this whole discussion in a really candid chat from our source material. It's between two people, Beth and 𝗠𝗀𝘀, just talking honestly about keeping their places clean, or, trying to. Their experiences really give us a window into how differently we all approach this stuff.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how these personal stories immediately set the stage. We all kind of know what mess is.
Yeah.
But hearing Beth and 𝗠𝗀𝘀 talk about it lets us move past a simple definition. We can start exploring the emotional side, the behavioral stuff.
Exactly. And that emotional bit often comes from something really simple. Our source actually starts by defining a mess as when something is untidy or dirty. Sounds basic. But its effect on us, that's way more complex.
Yeah, the conversation kicks right off with Beth giving this perfect example. So relatable. She talks about her kitchen being a bit of a mess this morning. And specifically, pans everywhere. Why? Because she slept in too long. We've all been there, haven't we? That morning after moment where you think, oh, why didn't I just deal with that last night?
Right. And what's striking is how fast a mess appears and the immediate feeling it triggers. Beth doesn't just see the pan. She says she doesn't even want to think about it.
Yeah.
So it's not just, objects in the wrong place. It's the mental weight, the maybe slight guilt, or just knowing there's work to do. It creates this feeling. That mental weight, yeah, that's a great way to put it. Not just what you see, but the space it takes up in your head. Okay, so if mess is the issue, then tidy is, well, the other side of the coin. The source gives us the flip side, tidy. It describes someone who usually keeps things clean, or a place that's neat, like a tidy bedroom.
And if we broaden that out, these terms, messy for a state or maybe a person's habit, and tidy is the opposite. They map out a whole spectrum of how we live. It shows we have some control, some agency in shaping our surroundings. And that affects our mood, right?
Yeah.
It isn't just no mess. It often means someone's actively creating order. And for a lot of people, there's a real satisfaction in that.
Okay. So we have these ideas. Mess, tidy. How does that play out in real life? And how we actually live with, the daily grind of keeping things decent. Our source gives us two really different ways of handling housework. Through Beth and 𝗠𝗀𝘀. Their habits are, well, they're quite revealing when you put them side by side. Let's start with Beth. She says right off that she likes things clean, generally. She notes a little bit of mess doesn't bother me, but I try to sort it out quickly. So she's practical about it. Life gets messy, but she tries to nip it in the bud. Then she talks about her kitchen routine after dinner. She relaxes for a bit first, then she cleans up, usually wants to do the washing up the same night. But then she admits, very honestly, it doesn't always happen, which again sounds familiar. But here's where it gets really interesting. Her coping strategy. When asked about her least favorite chore, Beth is totally clear washing up. She says, I hate it, like really hates it.
That's strong feeling.
Yeah.
Lots of people have that chore they just detest.
Exactly. And that often leads to putting it off, right? So her solution is pretty clever. Okay, she does have a dishwasher, which helps. But for pans and stuff, get this. She puts music on, picks one song, and then tries to finish all the washing up before that song ends.
That's brilliant.
Isn't it? She says it makes her happy, she can sing along, and crucially, it stops her thinking about how much I hate it. She even gets her husband to help with the really tough pans. So teamwork, too.
You know, that music thing, it's not just a distraction. It's textbook cognitive reframing and gamification. She's taking something unpleasant and linking it to something enjoyable, music. Right. Plus, it's a short, defined challenge, like a mini game.
A mini game against the clock. Yeah.
Exactly. Gives her a little reward, helps her start, and totally changes how she feels while doing it. If you think about habit science, it's a great example of designing a personal strategy to beat that, ooh, I don't want it feeling, basically tricking your brain into doing the thing.
Gamification. I like that. Makes you think what else you can apply that to. Okay, so that's Beth. Now let's switch over to 𝗠𝗀𝘀. She's quite different. Her house, usually quite tidy. Why? Well, partly because she lives with two other people. And she says they all try to keep the shared spaces clean.
Ah, so there's a social element there, shared responsibility, maybe some peer pressure even.
Could be. Definitely a group effort. But it's not just the shared spaces. Georgie takes care of her own room, too. She tidies it every few days.
Okay, so that sounds like consistent, low-level maintenance, little and often maybe, prevents a big pileup.
Seems like it. But here's the kicker, the big difference from Beth. Georgie actually likes tidying her room. She finds it satisfying.
Likes it. Wow. Okay.
She explains it like you start with a mess and then you end with a clean, relaxing space. So for her, it's not just about getting it done, it's enjoyable.
That's fascinating. What really stands out there is the intrinsic motivation. It's not about music or some external trick. For Georgie, the reward is internal. It's the transformation itself. Seeing the disorder turn into, well, calm, control.
The transformation, yeah.
It really speaks to this idea of restorative environments, where the act of tidying actually helps you feel mentally clearer, more peaceful.
Restorative environments, I like that.
It shows that while some people see chores as just chores, obstacles maybe, others genuinely find satisfaction in creating order, in that visible change.
So tidying could be like a form of self-care almost, or restoring your mental space. That's a cool idea. Okay, so whether you're like Beth, finding clever ways to tackle the hate, or like Georgie, finding actual joy in it, a lot of us still use a certain tool to manage these tasks, the good old to-do list.
Ah, yes, the to-do list. Ubiquitous.
Both Beth and Georgie mention it, or something like it. The source defines it pretty simply. A list of jobs you need to do, like cleaning, washing up, or hoovering. Seems straightforward, right? Just a list. But how we use it or don't use it says a lot.
It really does. It's more than just organization.
So Georgie, being quite proactive, mentions tidying my room is on her list for later today, which fits her consistent style. The list seems like a concrete plan for her.
Right, an actionable guide.
But then there's Beth. Her experience might be, well, a bit more common for many of us. She mentions hoovering, vacuuming is on her list, but then she adds that classic line, she's not sure if she'll do it today, maybe. Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow. The eternal refrain of the to-do list.
Exactly, just echoes, doesn't it?
It really highlights this tension, doesn't it? Between the list as an ambition, our aspirational self, and the reality of, well, actually doing the things, especially for tasks we don't like or when we're just tired. The list can sometimes become less of a plan and more of a record of things we're putting off.
A monument to procrastination.
Yeah. Putting hoovering on the list doesn't guarantee it gets done. It acknowledges it needs doing, but that maybe tomorrow shows how easily intention gets deferred. It's sort of a living document of our daily negotiations with ourselves, what we achieve and what we postpone.
Okay, so we've kind of journeyed through this whole world of mess and tidiness. From that immediate gut feeling when you see clutter to these really different personal strategies people use. We saw Beth turning washing up, something she hates, into this kind of musical race using that cognitive reframing you mentioned.
Right, overcoming the aversion.
And then Georgie finding genuine satisfaction, that intrinsic reward, in the process itself, turning mess into a restorative environment.
Exactly. And we also touched on the to-do list, that tool that can be both empowering and sometimes a way to just delay things.
Yeah, the aspirational list versus the action list.
If we zoom out a bit, what Beth and Georgie really show us is just how personal this whole relationship with tidiness is. It's tied up with our emotions, our routines, our energy levels. It's not just about having clean surfaces. It's about how we manage ourselves, how we motivate ourselves, using these little psychological tricks or finding genuine enjoyment. Understanding these different ways gives us maybe permission to find what actually works for us, instead of aiming for some perfect ideal that doesn't fit.
That's the key thing, isn't it? Finding your own way to make it work, that individual approach. So as you're listening and thinking about Beth's music sprints or Georgie's satisfying tidying, here's something to chew on. What's your go-to strategy for tackling a job you really don't like, or for getting that feeling of turning mess into a relaxing space? And maybe more immediately, what's that one thing sitting on your to-do list right now, the one that's been maybe lingering? How could you tackle it today? Could you borrow a bit of Beth's game playing, or find a sliver of Georgie's satisfaction in just getting it done? Give it some thought. You might just find a new way to make peace with your space